elections and received training from the LGBTQ plus rights organization Georgia Equality on holding voter registration drives, and I personally scheduled, organized, and hosted a dozen voter registration events across the Atlanta area during the 2018 midterm election season. I volunteered on a few political campaigns, including those of Stacey Abrams for governor of Georgia, the first Black woman to represent a national party for governor of any U.S. state, and another local Black woman who was running for a House district seat in my very white, affluent, and conservative community of East Cobb in the city of Marietta. While I was getting politically involved, I was also continuing my journey of racial awakening, a journey that had begun in July 2016 after I accidentally saw the videos on Facebook of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile being killed by cops, which both shattered me and radicalized me. Being so broken by the racial realities with which I was forced to reckon, I began doing the deep inner work of unpacking my own internalized racism, which led me to develop a meditation practice, something I didn't have despite the fact that I had been teaching yoga classes in many studios and boutiques since 2012. I then started protesting and marching in the streets. I read Just Mercy, a memoir by the lawyer and social justice activist Bryan Stevenson, which had such a tremendous impact on me that I created anti-racism and yoga trips, which are designed for folks who are on their own personal anti-racism journeys and want to use the practice and philosophy of yoga as tools to dismantle racism. I was invited to speak on panels about racism and white supremacy, and I was volunteering at local high schools, speaking with their gay, straight alliance groups. By the fall of 2019, I had twice been a guest on Speaking of Racism, a newly formed podcast by a white Midwestern woman named Jen Kinney. As a result of those podcast episodes, I began to get emails from white women around the country asking me for anti-racism coaching and for more information about legacy trips. My anti-racism work was growing. As the exposure of the podcast and social media platform grew, Jen faced tough and valid concerns from Black women questioning her role as a white woman owning a podcast that talked about racism. This led her to ask me to acquire the podcast, making it Black-led and Black-owned. So going into January 2020, I was the new owner of the Speaking of Racism podcast and scheduled to host more legacy trips and more screenings and discussions of HBO's documentary True Justice, Bryan Stevenson's Fight for Equality. And I plan to do more traveling, together with my wife, as nomads around the globe. At the top of the year that likely changed the shape of our species, my own life took a turn for the unexpected. I've embarked on a radical personal journey toward freedom, and it is at this point in the story that I invite you to get interactive with me. Because this is where this memoir turns into a guidebook, one aimed at helping you find your own answer to the question I have been asking myself since early 2020. Are we free yet? Throughout this audiobook, I will offer opportunities for you to reflect on what your personal journey toward freedom has looked like and continues to look like, because that is what I did that led me here. The thing that qualifies me to write about freedom is my own personal search for liberation. A letter in the door alerting my wife and me to an upcoming foreclosure of the house we were renting started me on this path to figuring out radical ways of getting free from oppressive systems. I didn't know it at the time, but I was becoming a liberation activist. If you are searching for what freedom looks like and feels like for you, then you also are becoming a liberation activist. That's what qualifies us. That's it. As you listen to this audiobook, you'll find that I've provided opportunities, pit stops in the form of Are We Free Yet artifacts, activities, and journal prompts